we are back for part 2 of how to draw Molang, and today we're gonna look at how to draw characters in perspective for beginners. This time we will draw Molang in a 3/4 view holding his friend Piu Piu. And then after the tutorial, I will show you how to apply what you have just learned to drawing other characters that you may want to draw in the future. I'm Tatiana Dennis. I'm here to teach you how to draw using the cute and simple style called Kawaii, and how to start a creative business using your newfound skill. So if you ever wanted to open an Etsy shop with cute products, or you draw with your kids, or you just want to get better at drawing, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of every new video I create. Now, let's face it, drawing characters in perspective is hard. Am I right? If you agree, just say yes in the comments. All I want you to do is say yes in the comments so I know that it is so, and so that others know that they are not alone. So, drawing characters in perspective is hard, but there are some tricks that will make it easier for you, and the goal of this tutorial is to show you these tricks. Now, the main thing is to think of your character as a three-dimensional shape. We are drawing Molang and Piu Piu, and essentially Molang is an egg-shaped character. So if you can literally imagine an egg shape, like with its width and height and its plumb, and so you kind of project that onto your page. And so when you see the outline of the character on the page, don't think of it as an oval, think of it as an egg with its own three-dimensionality. When we are doing the drawing, I will actually demonstrate this to you, how to get your brain to understand the drawing as a three-dimensional shape, and it's by using guidelines. So let's just jump in. I will show you all of these tricks and I'll talk you through the process. So in this video, we're gonna draw Molang in a 3/4 view in perspective with his friend Piu Piu. Okay, let's jump into Procreate and I'll give you a demo of how to draw a character in perspective. In this specific case, how to draw Molang in perspective. Now, I am using a Derwent sketching brush that comes with Procreate. It's free. I love it because it looks so much like a regular pencil, and I've got a dark gray color to simulate a pencil lead. I've also got my drawing grid on just to help me with judging with keeping the character symmetrical. Now, if you're using paper and pencil, then the process is exactly the same. Use your eraser, use your felt tip pens. I'll make another video on what materials I like to use for drawing by hand. So yeah, stay tuned. That's a good idea. Okay, so the first thing I usually do is draw a vertical guide. Now, our character is going to be in perspective, so it's not going to be flat on. But this guide right now is just going to help me put that first shape in place. And we saw last week that Molang looks very much like an egg shape. It's like an oval, but it's more squished towards the top and a little bit flatter towards the bottom. So I'm gonna sketch out the shape, but remember, now we are drawing Molang in perspective. This is a perfect flat on view, but we need to now take this egg and imagine there is like a three-dimensional egg that's coming out of the page, and we need to turn it like that. So let's change our guide. We've done our first shape, so let's have our guideline actually describe the shape that is in front of us. So imagine my pencil is walking on the edge of this egg, like that. And I'm just gonna draw it like that. Like toot, 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 toot. Imagine the pencil is walking on the surface of this egg, something like this. So you see now, this guideline that I've added is actually describing the egg shape, the surface of the egg shape. And I can literally hang everything on this guide, like the face. Now, we saw last week that Molang was more like a pear shape, right? There were like these little dimples on the side. And in perspective, you still will see those dimples. So process is the same. We're gonna mark them out on here. Well, let's make it a little more rounded. So puffy, like think of really puffy shapes. So I'm like keeping the curve really round and then just letting the curve meet right here with a smooth line. You don't want to make it angular. Okay. But I think let's give him a slightly bigger head. Because now I put this line in and I'm seeing that it's not actually a good shape. So it's okay. That's why we have a eraser. We're gonna fix that. So let's troubleshoot this. Maybe the head is roughly here. And then I think I'm putting the dimple a little bit too high. So let's put the dimple lower. Yeah, this is better. Okay, but now at the back, Molang doesn't have that dimple because it's kind of like right here where the cheeks are. So all we do is we just leave this line as it is. And now our guideline can help us even describe how the face is gonna go. So look, we're gonna do the same dimple here on the guideline. Because now we are describing the surface of this egg. Imagine my pencil is walking on the surface of this egg shape. Can you sort of see how, like, imagine you made this out of plasticine. What would this look like? Actually, modeling with plasticine is a really good way to practice for understanding shapes for drawing. So now let's add some ears. The ears are sort of sitting on this plane. Like, can you imagine? It's like a cross, right? Because the character is turned slightly. So the left ear is gonna just come out like this. And I'm intentionally keeping the position of the ears the same as what we did in last week's drawing. All I'm doing is putting this Molang in perspective, so the two ears are overlapping like this. Now notice this is really important. First, we have the ear. You see, this is the first line. Then we have the body in the back. And then we have, so this is the body, and then we have the back ear behind the body. This is what's creating that illusion of three-dimensionality. It's like stacking forms. You literally have to think about it in your mind, how, like, what's the order of shapes, and then simply overlap the lines to express it visually. Now let's add the face. So we said that this is roughly where the face is gonna go. This is the head, right? This is the neck, so we can imagine the face is up here. So I'm gonna use my guidelines to create the face. The same expression as we did last week, but you will notice that there is a certain compression happening. So this eye was, when we had the front on view, the eyes were same distance on the left and on the right. But now, because the character is turned, the back eye is slightly closer to the mouth than the front eye. And that's a really simple way to express perspective. So I'm gonna move it out a little bit to even exaggerate this effect. So let me clean up the drawing so that you can really see it. So the nose repeats the position of the guide. Then I have the smile, just like the little animal face we had. And then the eyes, you see there's way more space here than it is here. And that's how we have the face in perspective. And now let's add the cheeks the same way we had them. But this cheek, it's almost gonna run off the page, right? Because it's right on the edge and the character is turned. So all I did was shift everything to the right, to the side where the character is turning. So there's perspective. Now let's do the feet and the hands. Exactly the same principle. So the feet are sort of like, if you have X-ray vision, as my art teacher used to say, this is kind of where the feet are. So everything is moved over. And remember the stacking forms. So the front foot, the foot that's facing us, is gonna overlap with the body just a little bit. So when you overlap lines, you're really showing that three-dimensionality. And then the back foot, in contrast, is only gonna peek out a little bit here on the side. And this creates that illusion that there's a three-dimensional form in front of you. So there's the order: the front foot, then the body, then the back foot. And I'm gonna move the feet actually a little bit over, because if you imagine that the ball, like this egg, has a center of gravity, the feet are a little bit over to the right and it feels like the character is gonna fall over. So I don't like that. I'm gonna change that. Very, very, very easily done. Now if you're using pencil, erase and draw again. Same deal. Moving the feet apart a little bit just to create more balance and stability in our character. Okay, now let's do the hands and let's let our Molang hold Piu Piu, and we'll put Piu Piu in perspective as well, just to make things really fun. Make a new layer. Now Piu Piu is a little cheek and essentially does look like an egg shape. Surprise, surprise. So let's imagine this is the foundation of our Piu Piu. And if you remember last week, we talked about that the hands are just sort of these little U shapes that overlap with whatever the character is holding. So in perspective, it's exactly the same. So you can imagine, if we erase out these bits, Molang is holding an egg. But that's not really an egg, that's Piu Piu. So let's add a little bit of legs here, this little cheek. And let's make him hug Molang back, saying, "I love you." And then he's got this little piece on top of hair or something like that. I don't know. And let's give him a face. Oops. He's kind of facing us and he's got this little beak. It's a really simple way to draw Piu Piu. Now I think the face is falling down a little bit, so I'm gonna move it up just to make it cuter. So these are the things I usually check. If the character is not looking cute, I go to the face and I say, is it too big or not? And is it in the right position? I think this is better, so let's do the outline. I'm gonna speed up this video so that you can see the finished version, and we'll add some color. Okay, now let's add another layer below our outline layer so that we can add some color below outlines. So I'll grab this pink color and give it some cheeks. Now notice that I didn't outline the cheeks because I didn't want it to have that harsh brown outline, but it's up to you how you want to do it. I just kind of prefer that look. Okay, now let's take off all of the sketching lines so that we can see what we're doing, and we'll color Pew Pew. So look, I'm gonna select all of these layers and group them. Then I can switch them off with one click. I can put them on or off as I choose to. Make a new layer, and let's grab a nice yellow color that looks like a chicken. I think this one is a little bit too much like a lemon, so I'm gonna shift it more into orange, and I'm gonna make it a little bit more saturated. Yep. So I've got a new layer for the yellow color in case I want to move things around or change them. And look, I'm gonna go through the outline. This is actually the same process I do when I'm drawing with a marker. Funny enough, Procreate works the same way. And then once I have the closed outline, I can just drag the full color in. But let's give him, well, Pew Pew, some red feet and maybe cheeks, maybe just the beak. Let's experiment. So make a new layer for the red color. Grab a nice, let's go with pink because we started with pink on the other drawing so that they match. I'll show you a trick. So I'm gonna give Pew Pew pink feet, right? Like chicken feet, and even a pink mouth. Now, I quite like the way it looks, but I think the pink is a little bit too hot, like too pinky. So in Procreate, what I can do is I can go to hue saturation adjustment layer, and because all of my red is on one layer, I can play around with this color. Like look, I can make it really pink, or I can make it red or orange, like any color I want, and I can just move it until I'm happy. And I can make it saturated or less saturated. I think this looks pretty good, and that's it. And I can experiment with my colors very, very easily this way. So here's our Molang in perspective. Okay, we did it. You can grab the step-by-step image tutorial and a very detailed description of what I just showed to you on my website at tatianadenis.com. I will drop the link to the blog post below this video, and I will pin it as the first comment so you can easily jump to it. Now you understand at least the overall principles of drawing in perspective for beginners. Now, next time you are drawing a character, I want you to think about however complicated your character is, as a collection of simple shapes. For example, this is just a doll that's on my desk. Like, this is a Buddha, right? But if you really look at it, is a circle, and then this, well, let's call it a sphere, is a three-dimensional circle, which is a sphere, and then this bottom section is a pyramid. Now, when you're, like, let's say you wanted to draw this Buddha as a character, you would look at it and you would break it down in your head into the simple shapes. So in this case, it's a sphere and a pyramid. So when you are projecting that onto the page and you're drawing this character, actually draw the guidelines that I showed you. Just draw the head as a circle, but then make it a sphere. Then you can put the face and all of the features, like you can hang it onto that sphere. And the same with the body. Don't think of it as Buddha hands or Buddha costume or legs, because then your brain will get all confused. Think of it as a pyramid. And then learn to draw a pyramid and learn to turn it in a three-quarter view. And that's the best secret I have for drawing in perspective. That's actually how the artists work. That's how I learned to do that in art school. When we would draw a female body, we would draw nude characters, you know, doing all kinds of crazy shapes with a lot of twisting and everything. And it's exactly the same principles. Human head is a sphere, human body is an egg shape. You know, we always talked about the lungs as being the egg shaped, and then the hips, and that's the secret to finally nailing that perspective drawing. Thanks for joining this two-part video series on how to draw molang and how to draw molang in perspective. Keep on drawing, keep on being creative, keep on sharing your work, and I will see you in the next video.